Hello everyone, today we're going to see how to do 8 wheels vehicle movement. As you can see right now, the turret is moving left and right, up and down. I can turn left and right, or I should say left and right, and I can go forward and backward. You can see the reverse light are working as well, and we also have the headlights. So I'm going to cover in that video the movement for this vehicle, but I'm not going to cover the headlights and the brake lights for this vehicle because it's exactly the same as the previous video that I did for the Oshkosh that you can see right here in front of me. So let's jump right into it. Here we go, guys. We are in the project here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start importing the asset that we need for our game. So if you already followed the previous video with this vehicle here, so the Oshkosh, you're gonna need to make sure that your project is closed before importing the other vehicle for the vigilant content. If you don't do this, you may run to an issue and it's not gonna install to your project. So just make sure that your project is closed if you already have a vigilant content asset in it to avoid some issue. So here we need to import the content that we need. So the content that we need, we're going to go to the library here and we're going to go for the APC BTR82. So you can just search this and we're going to add to project and you're going to show all project and you're going to select the project that you want. For me, it's this one here. So YouTube Vehicle 5.1. And we're going to go to select version and we're going to select the 4.27 and just add to project. So remember, if you have already another vehicle installed, make sure your project is closed. Otherwise, you may run to an error and the asset won't be imported in your project. So when this is done, we're going to jump in the project. The thing that we need to do first, we under my stuff here, I have one folder with the Oshkosh here, and I have one folder for the APC BTR82 that we're going to use. So we're going to create a folder. You can just create a folder by right-clicking on the content browser and going to a new folder here and just name it whatever you need. So for me, I call that the name of the vehicle here. And we're going to open the APC. And here we're going to start to create the things that we need. So first, before starting and creating the blueprint, we need to make sure that we have the plugin installed for the vehicles. So we're going to go to Edit and we're going to go to Plugins. And here under Plugins, we're going to search for Chaos. And we need to install the Chaos Vehicle plugin. So make sure that you have that installed. When this is installed, you will have to restart your engine. And when it's restarted, you will be all set and good to start. So back in the project here, so we're gonna create the blueprint for our BTR. So if your lights is down, you can just hold Control and L, and now you can change the weather in your game. So just to put it easy to see, we're gonna put that to the daylight. And so in the APC folder, we're gonna right click in a content browser and we're gonna create a new blueprint class. So that blueprint class need to be a wheel vehicle. So we're gonna search for wheel and we need to take the wheel vehicle pound right here and we're going to do select and now we just have to name it. So we're going to call it, it's going to be our master class. So we just have to name that. So what we're going to call it is going to be BP underscore 8 underscore wheels underscore vehicle underscore master class. So all our vehicles that will use 8 wheels will have, we're going to use this master class. So it's why I'm doing a master class, because few of the code will be already there. So we won't have to repeat ourselves like too many times if we have a lot of vehicles. So just saving times over a long period of time is good. If you only have one vehicle, you can just only do one blueprint. It's no big deal. But I'm going to do it that way because I think it's way more convenient. Okay, so here in our blueprint, we're going to use some inputs. So I already have inputs from the previous video, but you may not have those inputs. So we're going to go through all the inputs that are here so you can create the same. So to create an input, you just have to right click here on the content browser and you go to input and you have the input action. So we're going to need a few input actions and we're going to need one input mapping context. So we're going to start with the input mapping context. So right click, input, input mapping context, and just name that my input mapping context. And if you open it, it's going to look something like this, minus all those keys that are already there, but we're going to add that in a few seconds. So now we need to create some input action. So those input action will act as when we press a key on our keyboard or a mouse, it's going to do an action for us. So we're going to create and do input and input action. So the first input action will be obviously our free look. So we need the free look here. So we're going to call that IA underscore free underscore look. And it's going to be here in the description. We can name it what we want. So I just put the same name. And we're going to use in the action here, was going to be an axis 2D. So, and when you have that, you can save and exit. Okay, so the next input will be your IA free look key, as you can see right there. We're going to open it, and same thing, I put the name. This one will be a value of digital ball. And the trigger here, we're going to add a new index by clicking on the plus here, and it's going to be all in release. The next one will be our IA underscore vehicle headlight. We're going to open it, and I put headlight up here, and it's going to be also a digital ball. And we're going to add the trigger, and this trigger by clicking here, we're going to go to the index, and if you click on the drop down menu, we have different here. We're going to take press, and you can save and exit. The next one will be our vehicle for the machine gun. So IA vehicle machine gun up and down. We're going to open it. This one will be called machine gun, and it's going to be an axis 1D for float. The next one will be our vehicle that go backward. So IA vehicle move backward. We're going to open it and call backward, and here the axis will be a 1D. The next one will be our IA vehicle move forward. And same thing, forward here, and it's going to be an axis 1D. The next one will be our vehicle for spotlight. In this vehicle, in this tutorial, we're not going to have any spotlight, so you can skip this one here. The other one will be our IA vehicle steering. And this one will be left and right for the description. And it's going to be an axis 1D, and it's going to be a float, obviously. And the last one will be a IA vehicle turret left and right. So you go here, it's going to be for the turret, and it's going to be an axis 1D, a float. And we have the action mapping. So if you open that now, you're going to be able to add mapping and select all the mapping that we already did, all the input action that we did here. You're going to have to add it there. So you click on the plus here, and you can select which one you want. So just to show you the key that I use for each of them, so I'm just going to expand, so you can copy, pause the video and copy for same. So here the free look will be the left key. So when I hold the left key, I'm going to be able to move my camera around the vehicle. The IA free look will be helping us to move around the vehicle. So the key will say if it's enabled, it's going to enable that key, which is going to help us to turn around the vehicle, not help us, but make us look around the vehicle. The move forward is W or up on the arrow. The backward will be S or down. The steering will be A and D and left and right. So if you expand those one, you're going to see that there's a little different for the left side. So the left side, you're going to add a modifier by clicking on the plus here. And the modifier in the index, you're going to put a negate for both. Because when you use A it's left, mean that we need a minus on our numbers. So -1 to +1. So minus is the left side and plus is the right side. So to go left, we have to tell the game that we want to go in a negative value. If you don't put anything there, when you're going to press A or D, it's going to go in the same direction. So make sure that your left side, so A and left, have a trigger, and that index is negate. It's really, really important. Otherwise, it's not going to work correctly. The other one would be our headlight. So I put the F key. The other one is the spotlight. I put J. You may not have this one because we're not going to use it in that tutorial. We have the machine gun up and down. So it's going to be mouse Y, and we have the turret left and right, which is our mouse X. So make sure that you do have the same as here. So you can see it here. Everything is there, so you shall be able to copy that. So I'm gonna leave you a few seconds here to take a screenshot or pause the video to copy for same. When it's done, we're going back here, and here we have our control, my controller. So we're gonna right click and we're gonna do an input, and we're gonna add the my controller. So basically it's gonna be all our controls gonna be there. Very simple. So just do a blueprint, and we're gonna do a game controller. So player controller right here. Just click on this and name that my controller. And if you open that, you're gonna see it's very simple here. So what we have to do here on even begin play, we have to make sure that we're calling our input mapping context, because if we don't call that at the beginning of the game, well, we won't be able to use all the keys for our game. So at even begin play, we're going to put a sequence. You can just hold S on your keyboard. It's going to do a sequence. And here you drag from there, and you're going to add a mapping context. And the target will be the ancient input local subsystem. And make sure here in the mapping context, it's your my input mapping context. So that way, when you start the game, we're going to fire off this little code, which is going to give us access to use the key for our vehicle. So when you have the key not install, but when you have your controller with the context mapping here, we need to make sure in the role setting here, so on the outliner here, we are selecting the my controller from the player controller class. So this will be firing off as soon as we start the game, which is going to give us access to this. With this, give us access to all the control that we have here. And now with this out of the way, which was taking a long time because there's a lot of controls, we can finally start doing our blueprint for our vehicle here. So we're going to open our master class for 4-wheels vehicle, and here we have a blank blueprint. So we're going to add a few things to that. So first, the mesh will be obviously the vehicle that we want to use just as a reference. So we're going to click on mesh here, and we're going to select our APC. So just click on mesh here, and we have our East APC BTR82. We're going to click on this, so now we have our APC right there. So from that, we need to add few things here on the detail component panel. Well, the component panel right here, not the detail component panel. So you're going to click on add, and we're going to search for our chaos, and we're going to take the chaos vehicle movement right here. We can leave the name as is, and here we're going to select the mesh, and the mesh we need to add a spring arm, because now right now if we use that, there's no camera, so there's no way for us to see. We're going to spawn right under here, and it's not what we want. So with the mesh selected, we're going to add a spring arm, and with the spring arm selected, we're going to search for our camera. Now as you can see here, the camera is right down here with the spring arm. So we're going to click on the spring arm, and we're going to put a target length here. It's 300. We're going to put 1000. So you can see now it's pushing my camera away. And in the axis here for the pitch, we're going to put -5, which is going to bring our camera just a little bit up. Also, we want the spring arm to be attached to the turret when we turn left and right. So what we're going to do here, we have the parent socket. We're going to click on the folder here. Going to give us a lot of socket that we can use. The one that we are interested in is the gun input, or in ENT. I'm not too sure what ENT stands for, but it's going to be this one. And now we can see that now it's attached to the turret. So when we're going to move our turret later, it's going to turn the camera at the same time. We shall not have anything here to change. We may have to change something here. Let me check here for lag. Here we go. So if we go on the detail panel and lag, We're gonna enable those two here, just because I don't want it to be too snappy. I want that to be more fluid when we move. So by having those two, it's going a big difference. Make it better, in my opinion. You can see by yourself what it's doing exactly. On the camera now, the camera will have no change, so we're gonna leave everything as is, and we should be all set and ready to start. So we're gonna go to our event graph. And here in the event graph, we're gonna start our code. So there's just few things to add. So it's gonna be very similar to the previous video. Actually, it's gonna be exactly the same. So just to save some times, what we're gonna do here, well, actually, we're just gonna start from scratch in case you didn't see the previous video. So we're gonna do a free look key here. And so on variable, you click on the plus here and need to be a boolean, and just click that and create one, name it like this. Now we're gonna right click on the board here, and we're going to search for our IA underscore free look. I'm gonna look for the key. So we need to take this one here, not this one here, but the first one here. We're gonna drag from trigger, and we're going to search for free look key right here. So free look key. So we're gonna set that key. We're gonna make sure that the box is checked, and we're gonna take our spring arm. We're gonna drag it on the board, and from the spring arm, we're just gonna drag from that, and we're going to use pound control rotation, and we're gonna take the set one right here, and we're gonna plug that right there. Need to make sure that the box is tick as well. So the use pound controller is when we click on the spring arm here, if it's right there. So the use pound controller rotation. So when we click on our free look key, it's going to activate that. So it's going to make us being able to look around our vehicle. So from cancel, we're going to drag, and same thing, we're going to search for free look key. This time it's need to be unchecked. We're going to also take the complete and plug it right there. And we're going to take the same as here, so we can just copy paste and drag it right there, and make sure the target is our spring arm. And make sure that it's unchecked, the box here. So the two top are checked and the two bottom are unchecked. So what this is doing for us, every time we press Alt on our keyboard, it's going to enable that free look key, which that we're going to use for moving left and right around our vehicle in the next step. So the next step is obviously we're going to search for IA, and it's going to be our free look. So we're going to take the free look, so the first one here. So from trigger, we're going to search for branch. It's going to be our branch right here, and the condition for this branch will be our free look, which is the one right here. So if it's true, we're going to add some pitch, so we can just search for add control pitch input. Actually, it's not going to be the pitch input, it's going to be the yaw input. So just drag and add control yaw input. The target will be self, and the value here need to be this one here. So you can just click on this and split the structure, which is going to give us access to X and Y. So X will be plugged in this one here, and the Y will be plugged to the pitch. So we're just going to drag from that and add control, and it's going to be our pitch, and the value will be this one here. So we can just double click and do a reroute node, so it's look a little bit better, something around those lines. So it should look exactly like this for you. So now we're just going to select all of that, press C, so we can do a comment, and it's going to be free look. And if you click on the box and click here on show bubble, it's going to make it appear on the top here. So now we have our free look around our vehicle. So if we were trying this and putting our vehicle right here, we're just going to take our masterclass for now and do play. Now we start with this vehicle. So to make sure that we start with the good vehicle here, we're going to select this vehicle, and we're going to make sure that we are the default prompt class is set to the four-wheel vehicle, or you can click on this, go to the detail panel here, go to here on pound, and you have auto process, and you can put player 0 because we are the player 0. And now we're going to start with this vehicle there. So if we do play, we have this vehicle. We cannot go back and forth yet, but if we hold Alt on our keyboard, you can see that we can now move around our vehicle. So the first code is working pretty well for us. So back in the blueprint here, we're going to start having our machine gun. So we're going to create few variables here so we can move our machine gun left and right and up and down. So we're going to add a variable here, and we're going to call that turret left right. We're going to make sure it's type float, and we're going to put the category here in the detail panel. We're going to change this for control. There we go. So it's going to under category control. So we can just click on that now. I don't know, there's a little 2 seconds. There we go. Click on it and you can duplicate. And this one will be turret. It's going to be the machine gun. And it's going to be our machine gun left and right. So we already go with this. Now we can duplicate this one once again. This one is going to be machine gun. It's going to be up and down. So up and down. And we should be all good with that for now. So here we're going to search for our action mapping. So our input action that we created at the beginning. So IA underscore is going to be vehicle, and it's going to be our turret left and right. So turret left and right. So from that, we're going to go to trigger. We're going to drag and we're going to search for branch. We take this branch right here and we take our free look. So if we are not free look, it means it's going to be false. So we're going to be able to move our turret. If we're free look, it's mean true. It means that we can't move our turret because we want to move around our vehicle. Okay, so we're going to drag from false and we're going to add controller, and it's going to be our yacht input. And the value of that will be the action value right here. So you can just click on it. And basically we can actually not click on it, but I mean drag from it and plug it to our yacht right here. We can do a reroute node by double clicking. And from the value here, we're going to use those values left and right. So we're going to take our turret left and right. We're going to do a get. We're going to take our machine gun left and right. And we're going to do a get. We're going to drag from both of them. We're going to search for plus. So add. And we're going to add the action value right there. I'm going to repeat the same process for the one below. And I'm going to drag that as well to the action value. We can do a reroute node so it's look more professional. There we go. Something like this. You can select those two here, press Q on your keyboard. So it's going to do a perfect line. There we go. Something like this. From those two plus here, well, we're going to take our turn left and right. So we can drag our turn left and right here, put it right up here. We're going to do a set. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to plug this to our controller yacht input. And a turret left and right here. We're going to take the plus and plug it up here. We're going to repeat the same process for left and right for our machine gun. We can drag over the arrow, so it's going to set it automatically for us. And we're going to drag from the plus from the machine gun right here to this one here. So now we have it. We have our machine gun that's going to be able to go left and right. So we're going to select all of that. We're going to do a comment to remember what this is doing. So it's going to be our turret machine gun and turret itself, which is our left and right, which is the axis X, just in case. So we're going to zoom so we can read that at the same time. And this will work with our animation blueprint that we're going to do a little bit later. So works with the anim BP. There we go. and we can click on that and the bubble right here, so we can have that in a bigger text when we zoom out. And we're going to compile. The next step will be our machine gun down, so up and down. We're going to not drag, but click on the board here, IA underscore vehicle, and we're going to set the machine gun up and down. Same thing with this one, we're going to go from trigger, I'm going to search for branch, and the condition for that branch will be our free lock key, same as before. So if we're not pressing Alt on our keyboard, it means that we're going to be able to use this code. So we're going to add control, and this control will be our pitch, because pitch is up and down. We're going to connect the value with the action value. Now we're going to take our machine gun up and down. We're going to put that on the board here. We're going to do a get. Same as before, we're going to drag from that and do a plus, which is an add, and we're going to connect the action value to it. We can just do a reroute node because it's look better. I'm going to select those two, press Q on the keyboard, so just do a perfect line. And now from that, we're going to set our machine gun up and down. So just drag the value right here on the pitch. It's going to set it automatically for us, and we're going to connect our plus to it. And now, as you can see, we have our code. So we're going to select all of that, do a comment, and the comment will be our machine gun, and is going to be our up and down, which is our y-axis, which also will work with our the anim BP that we're going to create later. And same thing here in the detail panel with the box selected, so the comment, I'm going to show bubble so we can see it from far out. And we're going to compile and save that. Now we're going to do the move forward and backward. So we're just going to click on the keyboard, the board here, and we're going to search for IA underscore vehicle, and it's going to be our vehicle move forward. From the trigger here, we're going to drag, and we're going to search for set throttle, and it's going to be the one from the CAUS vehicle right here. It's going to automatically have the wheel vehicle component that is right here for us. So the throttle will be obviously our action value right here. I'm going to put that down because we're going to use it a little bit later. And now we're going to search for IA underscore backward. So our IA vehicle backward. And same thing with this one, we're going to search for this, so we can just copy paste and plug the target right to it. And it's going to be to the trigger, and our throttle to the action value. Also, we need to have the complete here plug up here, and same thing for this one up here. And compiling. Now we need to have our steering for left and right, so right click, IA underscore vehicle, and it's going to be our steering that is here. Very similar, so we're going to drag from that, I'm going to set, but this time is going to search for steering, and I'm going to take the one for CAUS wheel movement vehicle. As you can see here, we can use this one or use the one that's already on the top here, and the steering will be our action value right here, and we're going to connect the complete to it. So now when we press W or key forward, it's going to put some throttle to this axis. When we do backward, so S or the arrow key, it's going to do this one, and if we do A, D, or left and right, it's going to do this one, and we can compile that. So now we're going to select all of that. I'm going to press C on our keyboard to do a little comment, and basically it's just going to be vehicle movement. Same thing, we're going to click here to have a little bubble on the top here, and we're going to compile. So now we have it, we have our movement. If you try to move with the vehicle, it's not going to work yet. Okay, so now we have our control for our vehicles. Okay, so what we're going to do here, there's two ways, right? So we can start working on the blueprint and or adding on, adding the lights for our vehicle. So when we go forward and backward, the headlights and all that jazz. So I can just copy paste what I did before, and you can look at the other video that I did for that because it's taking a long time to do all of that. So in this video, I'm not gonna put it right there. I may just copy it so it's working for the final product, but you're gonna have to look at my other video for all the lights. So we have our vehicle right here, so we're just gonna compile that. And here we have our four wheels vehicle, so all the basic functionality for our blueprint is right there. So now we have to create a child blueprint. So we're gonna right click on this and we're gonna create a child blueprint. And this child blueprint will be called BP for blueprint. It's going to be APC underscore and it's going to be our BTR, and we're going to open it. So now as you can see, we have already the skin because we already put that in the master class. We already have the normal spring arm and the camera with the chaos wheel vehicle. So we have the basic component here and also the variable or right there. So if you were clicking here and you click this, you will see that now we have all the same thing as we did in our master class. Okay, from that now we're just going to start implementing a few things. So we're going to click on our mesh, not on the mesh, sorry, on the chaos wheel vehicle right here. And if we go down here, we're going to add some wheel setup. So our wheel setup will refer to obviously our wheels that is right there from our skeleton bone. So wheel setup right here. It's right at the top actually. So wheel setup, we have the wheel setups and we'll click here on the plus. So we need 8 wheels. So we're going to add 8 of those. So we have 8 here. We're going to expand all of them. And we're going to start adding our wheels for our vehicle. So we need the skeleton bone for this vehicle. So you can click on the mesh here and you have the skeleton bone right here. So you can browse to it by clicking here. It's going to bring you to this and just double click on it. And now we have all the bones for the vehicle. So the one that we are interested in are the front wheel. So we can just search for front, or is it front? Let me check here. Yeah, not front exactly. So we're gonna search for the LF underscore wheel 1NT, and we're just gonna click on it and we're gonna copy the bone names. We're gonna go back to our blueprint and we're gonna make sure that we have chaos wheel selected so we can see our wheels, and the bone names will be Control V. So we're gonna do that 4 times and we're just gonna change the number. So we have 1. We're gonna put 1 for the first one, and the second one will be 2, 3, and 4. And now we need the same thing but for the other side of the vehicle, which are our right. So right here. So if we go on the other side, this one here. So we're gonna copy this one, copy name, go back to our blueprint, make sure we have chaos wheel selected, and we're going to add that 4 times. So and now we're going to change the 1 for 2, and this one for 3, and this one for 4. There we go. So now we have all our wheels matching our skeleton bone. The other thing that we need now is creating the wheels for our vehicle. So there's 2 ways that you can go about the wheels. So you can create it manually, or the easy way, because we like that when it's easy, we can just click here. So here we have our cast wheel. So if you click on this, we have the front wheel and the rear wheel that we did for another vehicle. So now we're just gonna create it from here. So I think we can create it from here actually. or it's just the selection. Oh, right here, plus. Create new blueprint. So again, click on the plus. And I'm going to put that under my folder. I'm going to put that under APC. And it's going to be front underscore APC underscore BTR82 underscore vehicle underscore will, I believe I name it. Yes. Will. There we go. And I'm going to save that. And it's going to open it for us. So here, that's very simple. It's going to be a cylinder. And we're going to have for the front wheel. So here on the axis, I'm just going to put that bigger so we can see it. So it's going to be front. The offset will stay at same. Here we're going to put 65. And the next number would be 40. And the friction, I'm going to put that at 500. The friction force will be 1. Actually, it's going to be 4, sorry. And 20 and 20. And it's going to be affected by what? So those front wheel will be affected by what? So they're going to be, when we press brake, it's going to brake. The end brake as well. The engine brake. And our ABS. I didn't see too much difference with the ABS, but hey, we're going to just check it. And here, affected by the steering wheel, we want that to be checked on because our front wheel will need to turn. So we need to check this box in. Right? We're just going to go down, just make sure that I didn't miss anything. Just by looking at my nose, seems pretty quick. So we're good with that. So we're just going to move that back to normal. And we can compile. And we're good for our wheels. So if I don't want to compile and save all the time manually, you can click here next to compile. And you can always save and compile at the same time when you click on it. It's going to save you some times. So now we can close it up. I'm going to go to our content browser and we can go to my folder BTR and you have our wheel right here. So what we can do, we can just take it, duplicate, and rename it. And this one will be our back wheel. So I'm going to call that rear. I'm going to open it. We're going to have a few modifications on this one because this one need to not affected by the steering wheel unless you want all your 8 wheels to turn, which is going to be a little bit special, but hey, if it's what you want. So we're going to uncheck this and we can compile and we're all good. So now all the other basic information here will remain the same other than front that we have to change for rear and compile. So now we should be all good with that. And we can close it. So now we have our wheels. So if we go back to our APC blueprint, we have all our wheels. Now we're going to select the wheels that we just created. So we're going to click on the wheels. Here we have a front, right? So front APC. So the number 2 will be our front as well. And number 3 will be a rear. So we're going to select the rear APC. Same thing with the next one. And the right side would be front, the 2 first one. And the 2 others will be our rear wheels. There we go. And now we can compile and save. So now we have all the wheels there for us. Now we're going to do our torque curve. So right here, so under mechanical setup, we have internal curve, however you say that. So we're going to create external, and we're going to create one. So we're not going to leave that long name. So we're just going to call that APC to refer to our vehicle. It's going to be our BTR82. And it's going to be underscore torque underscore curve. And we can save and yep, we can save that. There we go. So now we're going to open it so we can browse to it. So it's right there. So we're going to open it. We're going to add a few things. So we're going to right click here. We're going to add a key. I'm going to select this key. And this key will be starting at 0. And it's going to be 0.5. We're going to add another key right here. Is it the same key? Let me zoom here. I don't know where it is. Where is the other key? Well, I guess I didn't create it. Create a line, add another key. Oh, here we go, right here. And this key will be 3500, and it's gonna be 0.5. So we're good with this. And I'm gonna add another key, please. Yes, it's there. And this one will be 4000. So we're gonna put 4000 here. And it's gonna be 0.1. And now I believe if we click, is it here? I'm not too sure exactly where we click. Oh, here we go. Right here on the arrow. So we have, that doesn't look that great. I think we did a little mistake here. So the first one is 0 and 0.5. Yes. And the second one will be exactly here. This one will be 35 and 0.8. Here we go. So it should look like this. And we can save that. So now we have our curve for our vehicle right here. So we're good with that. So now we're going to jump in the animation to have our turret go up, down, left, right, and our wheels to go left and right. So there's few ways that we can go about this. So we're going to go to our APC here. You could just click, on the APC itself and create an animation blueprint from it, or you can click here and you can create an animation blueprint and select animation blueprint. So we're going to do this. So animation blueprint, I'm going to select our APC BTR. I'm going to create, and I'm going to call that anim BP, and it's going to be for our APC, as we already know, BTR 82. And I'm going to open it. So now we have our animation here. The first step, very important. If you don't do that, it's going to be a nightmare, because it's not going to work and you're going to wondering why it's not working. So here under the class setting, the animation instant here need to be changed for our vehicle animation instance. Really, really important. If you don't do this, it's not working. And we can compile. So now from that, it's very, very simple. So we're going to search for mesh, and it's going to be our space reference pose mesh. We're going to drag from the component pose, and we're going to search for our wheels, control this one here, and from that we're just going to push that a little bit out of the way. And here we need our wheels, we need our turret. So we're going to drag from that, and we're going to search for transform modify bones. We're going to take this one here, we're going to click on it. So the bones that we want to modify is here. So we have our bones here. So we want to modify the turret one. So I'm going to show you. We want to modify this one. So when we turn, we want the turret to do this, right? So here on the animation graph, we're going to select this one. So we're going to search for turret, and I'm going to take the one with ENT or INT, and I'm going to take this one. And we need to make sure that the rotation mode is set to replace the existing one. Really important. And we can compile. The rotation here, we're just going to click on it, and we're going to split the structure. So it will give us access to X, Y, and Z. Now we can take this and duplicate it and put it on the bottom part. I'm going to take this first transform bone, plug it right down here, and this one up here. There you go. Perfect, like this. It's beautiful. So now if we compile, it should be all working. So now we have to tell which bone, well, we want to modify the turret. Remember, we already created the turret in our blueprint here. So if we go into blueprint and we go to vehicle control, we have our turret. So we need to use this, because every time those one change, as you can see here, every time we make a change, it's going to update and set that new value. So we need to use that value to change our animation. So to do this, it's quite simple. So we're going to go to the event graph, and we're going to drag from our blueprint, and we're going to cast to our APC. So APC BTR 82. the object will be our try get pound owner. Now we can drag from that and we should have access to all the variable that we did. So we're going to search for turret and we get our turret left and right. We're going to repeat the same process, and this one will be our turret for our gun, so left and right. And we can do that once more, and this one will be our turret for our gun up and down. There we go, like this. Here we can move that a little bit out of the way. We're going to drag from our CAS BT APC BTR 82. We're going to get there and search for sequence. And from the 0 here, we're going to set those variables with the one from the blueprint. So we're going to create the same one, right? We're going to duplicate those one. So if you duplicate it, but not duplicate that way, I mean, but I'm going to create it here, but it's going to be named very, very similar to this. So variable, we're going to get plus, and it's going to be same as this one here. So it's going to be turret left, right. But just to know that is the one from the animation blueprint, I'm going to call that animation blueprint like this. So now I know that's the animation blueprint. It needs to be a float. Now I'm going to duplicate this one, and this one will be turret machine gun. It's going to be your left and right. I'm going to duplicate this one, and it's going to be our turret machine gun, but instead of left and right, it's going to be up and down. So we have all of it, so we can take one by one, do a set for all of them on our board. Perfect. So we're going to connect that to then 0, one after the other. Perfect. And we're going to take our turret left and right, machine gun left and right, and up and down right there. We can do a little reroute node because it's beautiful. There we go. So we can select. Oh my goodness. There we go. Press Q on our keyboard so it's look good. There we go. So now we have it. So every time that we're going to change the variable in our blueprint, those one here, it's going to set the one for our animation blueprint. So now we can compile and we can go back to our animation graph that we have right here. Now we can just start using those variables in our animation. So the first one that's going to be connected to our Z or Z axis for our left and right, or up and down, I shall say. Is it? No, left and right, or rotation. Yeah, whatever. We're going to take the APC turret left and right. We're going to do a get and plug it right there. And for the bottom one, we're going to take our turret machine gun left and right. And we're going to take our up and down. We're going to move that a little bit out of the way. So in the Y is going to be our up and down, and in the Z is going to be our left and right. So we can just reverse that so it's easier to read. There you go, like this. So every time that there's an action that's going to be from us doing an input, left and right for the turret, is going to update this, which is going to transform this bone, and we're going to be able to move the turret left and right. Same thing with the gun, up and down and left and right. And we're going to compile. So now we're going to go to our map here. We can delete the master vehicle, and we're going to use our BT APC that we created, so the child. And if you do play, obviously you're going to jump back to this one because, as you remember at the beginning, we have to click on this one, and here on auto process in the detail panel, we have to put player 0, and now we have this vehicle. But you see, if we try to move, it's not working, right? The camera for alt is working, but not the left and right. It's because we have to simulate physics on this. It's really, really important because now we do not have simulate physics. To simulate physics, you just click here on the top one here, and you top here. You click here on the detail and you search for simulate, and you have simulate physics right here. Check this box out, compile, and now if we try, you can see, you know, when we press, there's something happening, but there's no movement yet. We're almost getting there. We're almost getting there. So we're going to click on the cows vehicle here. And we need to, let me check here. We have to put some gear because I think we didn't put numbers in the gear. If I click on cows vehicle, it's going to help me a lot, obviously. And we're going to go to engine here. So we shall have mechanical, engine, torque. So the torque for our vehicle, well, 300 is not enough, so we're going to put 750. The weight, we're going to leave it as is, so we're going to leave all that as is. Differential setup, well, I want to be a 4-wheel drive vehicle, so all-wheel drive vehicle. It's important, and we have the transmission setup. If we click on this, now we have forward gear. There's way too much gear, so we're just going to keep 5. So you can click here on the arrow and you can, oops, delete a few of them. There we go. So we're just going to keep 5. So you're going to put the first gear at 4. You're going to put the second gear at 2.02. The other gear 135, 1, and 1. And now we can compile. Let's give it a shot, see how it's worked. As you can see now, you see we have torque, and it seems to work. All right, so we're getting there. So you can see that there's something want to happen, but it's not working yet. So the next step will be to do the physics for this vehicle. So now we're gonna take the asset, not the asset, but the physics for this vehicle. So you could create one, or just use the one that come with the BTR from the visual and content here. So we have the asset right here. So we could take this one. So let's use this one. So we're just going to double click on it. And you can see here we have the basic of it. We need to remove the top here for the gun because otherwise it's going to collide with this and it's going to cause issue. So I'm going to delete this and leave that as is. That's perfect. Now we're going to click on the one wheels. And we're going to make sure that the detail here are good. So we have schematic. So it should be all set. It should be good with that. And we can save that. So we are using this one here. So now you can see the vehicle is moving. It's fantastic. Doesn't move well, but hey, we're getting somewhere, right? So we can see it's moving, but the wheels are not turning. And I did a mistake because when I press backward, it's going forward. So we're gonna go to our APC here for our input, and we have the backward input. So let me see this one if I just didn't miss something up. Forward. Oh yeah. So the backward here, we're gonna remove that, not the throttle, but it's gonna be, we're gonna search for brake. It's gonna be our brake input from cast wheel. Gonna plug that to our trigger and also complete right here. Gonna make sure that we put brake to the axis value and the target to this one. Now if we compile and try this out, forward, backward, left, and right. Perfect. It's working pretty good. So now we just have to make those wheels move. They don't move for now, so that's look a little bit weird, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And I believe it's the final step. So we just have to put the animation that we created to our vehicle. So we're going to click on the mesh here. And here, animation class, we're going to select our animation that we created for this vehicle, which I don't remember the name that I put. anim BP, so anim right here. So anim BP APC BTR. I'm gonna compile, and now, as you can see, the wheels are turning for our vehicle. The turret seems to work. It's working pretty good. Up, down, left, right. Our vehicle will go forward, backward. Here we go. So we're there now. So that would be pretty much this for this video. There's no lights here for the vehicle, for the headlight and the brake lights. So if you want to stick around, I'm gonna show you how to do it. I'm not gonna explain it. I'm just basically gonna copy one from a previous video, and I'm just gonna show you here on the screen so you have an idea what it's looked like. But if you want to know, just go see the first video that I did with the Oshkosh that speak about headlights and spotlight, and you will be having everything that you need to do the same for this vehicle.